have one more presentation left. Dr. Deb Daro, we've heard her speak multiple times to our network. I find her to be a great mentor. Deb is quite frankly, is an expert and national leader in home visiting. She even helped start HFA, create it, and even consulted with Welcome Baby, with First Five, and so on. Deb today is going to be talking about what the national state of home visiting is like right now. So we are still the largest initiative in the country when it comes to home visiting, but home visiting exists out of LA County. So Deb, thank you so much for being here with us today. The floor is all yours.
Thanks so much. Brother, this is a hard act to follow, and I think you're probably all still reeling from the powerful speech you heard and the way it touched us all in very profound ways. So I apologize for this is going to sound really mundane, but I want to bring us back to a little bit about home visiting, COVID, and what opportunities really lie ahead of us. You know, Welcome Baby is not a program about fixing broken people. It's not a program about taking poor, disadvantaged parents because they wouldn't survive without us. It really is about building and strengthening families, as the theme of your conference illustrates. But for a voluntary prevention and health promotion system to operate in a free society, there are certain things that we have to have. First, we need a community that can develop a common understanding of the risks and challenges we all face in producing and fostering a healthy next generation. We need to have within each one of us a capacity, comfort level, and trust to reach out and ask for help when we're overwhelmed. And finally, as a society, most importantly, we need to develop a collective capacity and responsibility to respond to folks when they do reach out. There's no sitting on the sidelines, no assuming others will do it. As John Lewis said, when you see something, do something. We are the public, and all of us have a responsibility to respond to those that ask for help in an empathetic and respectful way. This is, in fact, the only way societies really grow and develop. The COVID-19 crisis, as Dr. John so eloquently said, didn't create the sense of distance we feel in this society. It existed before that. But one of the things I think COVID has done in a perverse way is developing a collective sense and nurturing the soil in the way that can help us realize those very values we need to have in order to be successful with our work. It's made all of us painfully aware of how hard it is to raise your children on your own. And no matter what kinds of resources you have, it is a collectively difficult task. No one's immune from it. Your education, your income, your family relationships, all the benefits and privilege you think you have can buffer you from some of the worst outcomes, but it doesn't completely remove the stress and anxiety that comes from raising children, particularly in an unsettling time. We have a new understanding as a society, I think, of that it does take a village to raise a child. Might have been a slogan before, but right now it is no longer a slogan. It's the reality that everyone's living. Second, it has made us all vulnerable and heightened our need to reach out and ask for help. Those with young children, be they program participants and home visitors, and again, Dr. John made the point, you have a lot, everybody that's working with children or raising children right now have a lot in common, whether you're the provider or the participant. Some of the needs are acutely the same. We all yearn for help to manage the myriad of tasks on our plate, whether it's caring for our children, in many cases being our teacher, the educator of our children, doing our job if we're employed outside the home, doing our job in the home, and just maintaining our sanity. COVID has forced all of us to give up some pride, to introduce some humility and understand that we need to let ourselves be vulnerable and ask for help. And third, it's really underscored the deep inequities in our society. It's exposed all the shortcomings of our so-called safety net and reminds us that although everyone faces challenges, in meeting their parenting responsibilities, those challenges are unevenly distributed and families do not have equal access to the support they need to address them. Race matters. And until we address the imbalance that racist beliefs and practices have created, we will never have an effective prevention system, to address any social dilemma. Home visiting is a linchpin, I think, in creating a shared and more equitable response to promoting child well-being. While the structure of our home visiting programs, be they targeted or universal, have certainly changed, we're not all in the same business right now, and change is not easy, home visiting remains important. And while the change is hard, and all of you that have had adjusted to a new service delivery system and a new context in which you're working know that these times have been really challenging for us. Change also brings wonderful opportunity. It opens some doors. It lets us, in many ways, think about new solutions we would never have thought about had we not been put in this situation. It does allow us, I think, to come back better, more effective than we were when we crossed through this situation. Where have we needed to change, and what are some of the opportunities? I know that often people in Los Angeles have told me they suffer from terminal uniqueness, which I just love. I want you to know you're not the only group of people struggling with some of these issues. It is a national, I repeat, it's a national sense of exploration, hope, and challenge that everyone that's involved in home visiting faces. I want to talk about two of the changes, though, that you've seen in home visiting and introduce what I think some of the real opportunities emerge from them. First off, virtual service delivery. Home visitors are not visiting in the home. We know that. We're on Zoom, we're on the phone. If we do see families, it's for short periods of time, and it's probably outdoors on their front porch. Programs and participants are adapting to new ways of communicating and new ways of learning about each other and what they have to give. Challenging, yes, but I think there's some good opportunities out of this. First and foremost, I think the virtual home visiting reality you're involved in now is really helping us to contribute to a more diversified service delivery system going forward. It's unlikely that the home visiting models that we know will return to strictly delivering services in the home. We're going to be doing both in-home and virtual service delivery. I think this is good because I think it's going to reach out and allow us to meet the needs of families in a more diversified way and in a more respectful way based on the method of intervention that families are most comfortable with. Second, I think it's really increasing the potential to have additional contact with families, more frequent contacts, particularly if you think of Zoom calls being one, telephone calls being another, text messages, other kinds of messaging platforms that we have. Home visitors are allowed to be in contact with families in a much more real-time manner. And that real-time manner, I think, allows us to put families really at the center of our work. We've always talked about families being in the center of the work, but now families are really in the control. They can hit the cancel button a lot faster than they can close the door on you. That there is this sense of working with families and dealing with real-time issues in a salient way, things that are in the moment for them, things that are really troubling them. It's not following a curriculum necessarily. You're going to get all your points made, but you're going to be really addressing families in the reality that they're currently facing. And also, I think this new virtual format, frequency of contact, being more centered with the family, is allowing us to really help families sort through the messiness of their lives and reestablishing a sense of priorities where the priorities are the parent-child relationship. Doesn't matter if your house is clean. I tell families now, it doesn't matter if you do every single class or every single method someone's told you to do with your child. Be there for your child. Enjoy your child. Celebrate that. So it lets us focus on parenting, which is one of the main things we want to improve with. We want to work with families on. We want to make them comfortable with their child. And we also want to make them aware of themselves, allow families to have some time for self-care. So virtual is, I think, a wonderful, promising change we've seen. I also think how we make referrals is an exciting idea. Many of the agencies you work with are closed. They're facing the same problems you have. And a lot of the tried and true referrals you would do aren't working now. So we need to be more creative. And I think home visitors are in a position now to be able to unearth and untap some resources that families may not even know they have. With respect to this, I think resilience. I think we now have in a situation to empower families to have faith in their ability to take charge of their life and to make decisions that are correct for their children. It validates in many ways things families have already been doing, and it lets them know that they can celebrate their homegrown solutions. Second, I think we can help families look around, and all of us, and creatively use the resources they do have available to them. It may not be public services, but it may be friends, families, neighbors, others in their social network that they can draw on and ask for assistance. I'm reminded of the movie Apollo 13, where they had to solve the problem for the astronauts circling around the moon. And the engineers were told, your solutions are limited to these kinds of materials because that's the only things the astronauts have up there. There was no Amazon Zoom delivery services to the moon. So you had to work with what you had. But I tell you, in this day and age, and what I've seen around the country, the innovative capacity of NASA engineers pales in comparison to what home visitors working with their families can come up with in terms of meeting the needs of their children. I want you to treasure those solutions you're seeing during this period of time and share them with your colleagues going forward. I also think we can empower families to make more demands for themselves, to come up with creative ways to create new opportunities among social service programs when we're back to normal. That there really is a need of letting families know they deserve service, they deserve support, and you're going to work with them collectively to see that they get the support they need. In addition, I think to changes we're seeing in the home visiting service delivery system, I also think we have great opportunities as a result of COVID to begin to look at system change, to alter the context in which programs are operating and create opportunities for more alignments and greater efficiencies. Just as home visiting is modeling new ways of working with families, I think our current environment can give us new ways to craft innovative ways for agencies to work together. Working with your colleagues, I think, to advocate for enhanced technology for all families. Access to high-speed internet is important today as it was giving families electricity at the turn of the last century. It is something families need if they're going to be well integrated into the new versions of how services are delivered. It gives their children opportunities for educational opportunities that right now there's a gross imbalance in terms of who can access the resources that are available and who cannot. We can ask agencies to foster broader interagency collaborations, integrating physical health and behavioral health, integrating child welfare services with family support, integrating early education with the K-12 system. We need to focus on reducing unnecessary regulations, eligibility criteria, and processes that get in the way of developing seamless and equitable systems. And finally, as state budgets realign, and believe me, budgets will be realigned. There is just no way that's not going to happen. We need to work carefully with agencies to make them understand the knowledge you're gaining about what families need, to make sure that agencies meet those needs and elevate the concerns of young families and families above all the other demands that are out there now. And making sure that agencies work together to create shared responsibility to meet those needs. No one has the right answer for going forward. No one can predict the future. But I do think the uncertainty we're facing now in the home visiting field is allowing us to ask questions that do deserve answers. And you can't answer a question until you put it on the table. And right now we're able to put those questions on the table. Lifting up an idea that Delisa said at the very beginning, I want to leave you with a modern day beatitude someone recently told me. And it was, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken." As hard as the work is now, as difficult as the challenges we face are, I want you to remember that you will not be broken, your families will not be broken, and together you'll continue to succeed, building both a home visiting service network, delivery system, as well as a network of family supports that will be stronger and will foster a context in which we're going to see a greater shared understanding of parenting challenges across race, across ethnicity, across income groups. We're going to understand it really is a village. We're all members of the village and we all have to contribute if we want the very best for children. It's going to be a context in which people are going to be comfortable asking for help. They're going to trust their colleagues. They're going to trust their neighbors to understand they can't do it alone. And you know what? If I ask for help, what we're going to see is there'll be a collective response, and that response is going to be done with more equity and justice than we've experienced in the past. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Deb. Really appreciate you always bringing it back to the big picture and reminding us of what's happening on a national scale as related to home visiting. I think it's a good reminder for us as we end our day that we are part of a much bigger picture. I think we've done really well in LA County, and home visiting continues to be something that we're trying to normalize across the country, quite frankly, and across the globe at this point. I do want to take a moment and do a couple more reflective questions, and then I have a closing message and we should be done for the day. So with that, I'm going to screen share with you. It's that time to take out your phone, go to menti.com. Code is 778027. Your first question is, what resonated or surprised you from Dr. Daro's presentation? So what we just talked about, flexibility is key, community is necessary. So again, what resonated for you for this from this presentation? Everything. Everything is always good. And as you're answering that question, just because for the sake of time, I am going to go to our next question as well. What will you do differently tomorrow? So this is a word cloud. You could just put in one answer. Listen, breathe, do better, open-minded, meditate more, forgive, love myself, enjoy the little moments, look within, embody healing, water my seeds, stillness, check in with myself. So again, the question is, what will you do differently tomorrow? Soften the soil. Sing. Trust myself. Give it a couple more seconds for this slide, and then I have another question. You can see the big items, the big ticket items: self-care, listen, breathe, meditate, love myself, love more. Thank you. What do you wish for this next fiscal year? Or I should say the fiscal year that we're in right now, as related to your work. What do you wish for yourself? What do you wish for your work, your organization, your community? What do you wish for the families? Opportunity, growth, stability, bravery, continued excellence, for COVID to be over, continue existing, helping families, ongoing support, clear sense of purpose, compassion, adaptability. Give this slide a couple more seconds, and I have my last one coming up in just a second. Empathy, connection, more readily available resources to be alive. Okay. And my last question, what do you want to say to your fellow LA County home visitors? This would have been the opportunity where we would have been all in one room. There would have been so much conversation back and forth, but this is your chance. If you were in that big room right now, what would you say to your fellow LA County home visitors? We will get through this. Thank you. Stay strong. You are loved. You got this. Thank you. It's a lot of appreciation messages. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, I'd like to sincerely thank, on behalf of LA Bus Babies Network here at California Hospital, I'd like to sincerely thank all our speakers today. Thank you so much for taking part in our 5th summit, but our first virtual one. I think there's quite a few messages that we learned today. Through Delisa and Monica's data presentation, we saw that home visiting works. We've had great successes in the last 5 to 7 years that we've expanded home visiting. I think that was a nice reminder of the results of the expansion of how many families we're able to reach. We've talked about this before, but LA County's home visiting initiative is still the largest home visiting initiative in the country. And we even got bigger in 2018 when we had our county partners join as well. So it's amazing to be a part of something so big, so dynamic, so unique, and so selfless as well. The support system that we provide each other, the families and communities, is really like no other. I thought it was amazing how Monica and Delisa highlighted that we have nearly 500 families that have been in our HFA and PAP programs for more than 2 years. That is a telling story right there, that just purely a number of 500 doesn't really even start to scratch at. There's so much more depth to that fact. We heard that with our services, we're able to increase families' confidence in their parenting, meet their needs and expectations at pretty high rates. But what I really want to really resonate back to is what Jaya said, is that you all are sacred. We see you, I see you, and we thank you for everything that you do. We know that this work is not easy, but we appreciate the fact that everyone shows up day in, day out, and is always looking for a way to better serve your clients, the community, your organizations, and so on. So with that, we're officially done with the summit. We'd like to remind you that we honor you and we appreciate you. You can find the evaluation link in the chat box. It was just dropped in there by Kayla. She'll drop it in a few more times because we see a lot of great feedback coming in. Really appreciate it. You know how we feel about feedback. We're always open to it. We always use those evaluation forms as a way to improve our work. So really appreciate you taking a few minutes to complete that evaluation form that Kayla put into the chat box. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. It has been an absolute pleasure. I wish we could have seen each other, but again, we appreciate you, we honor you, and we thank you for everything you do every single day. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.